Hi, everybody. This is Byron. He's a student of mine. He's also a teacher at my school. He teaches one of the children's classes, the juniors, ages pretty much 11 from like 16. He's also a professional MMA fighter, and I think he's coming off of 2 wins in a row with the
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
2 wins in a row. And the funny thing about that is, like, he still fights, and he's like 100 years old. It's crazy. I'm not kidding. Like, no, really. He's what, 49?
49
years old. Still knocking the young bucks out. You know, I'm very grateful to have him as a student and a coach for the school as well. Brings a good vibe. Such a nice guy. You got that laugh too. That one. You just say it.
Wow.
So, I guess Matt, you have any
Okay,
questions?
so I just wanted a little bit of his backstory, man.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it.
No one knows.
No, not. We're gonna go from the beginning.
This guy is dangerous.
No. Listen, he has a story.
Okay.
We're gonna go from the beginning. Byron, where'd you grow up?
Miami, Florida.
Miami. What
Florida.
part of Miami?
Dade County, Overtown.
Overtown?
Yeah. The
Like-
projects.
Well, yeah, okay, the projects. Whereabouts in Miami is that?
Right, Pork and Bean Projects, Brownsville. So right there in the city.
I got
Deep in it, right in the city where it all happens.
I love Miami. I own a condo there.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Brickell.
Yeah, I want to go back.
Oh, we're going.
Yeah.
We're going. So you grew up in Miami.
Yeah.
When did you move away from Florida?
I moved out of Florida at 11 and came here. Came to
Gotcha.
Washington State.
Gotcha.
And then went back home, and I went back and forth.
I got
and I
you.
finally just, military. My dad was Army, and so we went from Miami to San Francisco, from San Francisco to Washington, from Washington to Panama. Then from Panama, I went to Georgia, then back to Miami.
Georgia.
Yeah,
What part of Georgia?
Augusta.
Augusta?
Yeah, I loved it there. It was
It's
really
neat.
nice.
Yeah, it's neat. Different.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when did you start fighting?
At age 34, so I've been fighting 15 years.
15 years.
Yeah.
34 started fighting, and then so you've been training mixed martial arts.
Yes. Start off with Dennis Hallman.
Oh, Hallman. Okay.
Dennis Hallman,
Yeah.
Brad Blackburn, Sterling Ford, John Prince Albert, Patrick Benson.
Oh, I know John Albert.
Benji.
I actually,
yeah.
I faced him at one of Ivan Salivari's events.
Yeah,
a few years ago.
Yeah, Benji Reddick, Michael Kelsey. I got to train with those guys. A phenomenal group of people.
Awesome. You've been training for 15 years. You grew up in Miami and in other places, and then you're in Washington now. And what do you do for work? What do you work?
I work at Costco.
At Costco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in the meat department. I'm a meat wrapper.
Got you.
But I started off as a chef.
As a chef.
In an Italian restaurant.
Gotcha.
I had to be a chef. It was really fun.
So you like to cook? Or
I love to cook.
You do? Shit, I gotta bring you up.
Saute.
So where are you headed next as far as like fighting, jiu-jitsu? Like what's next for you?
For me, I want to do 2 more fights. And it's not about me getting a belt. It's not about me accomplishing, I did that. It's for me.
For you.
To know that I did it
You did.
for myself.
Yeah.
Not to show nobody I did it. It's all about me. Because if I can prove it to myself, that I can continue to go.
Personal goal. Like
Yes. So my personal goal is to get 2 more fights, which would put me at 27 fights.
27 fights.
And to do that for myself, especially with the history I had with alcohol.
Yeah. We want to talk about that too in a little bit as well.
So, with the history I had with that, to be where I'm at now, it's like it's 2 different people.
What's the story with the alcohol?
Well, I started drinking when I was 21.
Okay.
And, I didn't know any better. My father was an alcoholic, so that's just what we did. That's all we did, play dominoes and drink beer.
Yeah.
And I got introduced to it, alcohol and cigarettes and all the fun stuff, I never dabbled in any type of other drugs besides that. And for some reason, it took my life, and DUIs, 2 of them,
Oof.
and that moment hit where when I got back to Washington, I continued to drink. I was here at 27 years old, continued to drink all the way till I was 34, 6 months clean and sober. I was introduced to this sport. And, the funny thing about it is my daughter's mom, my oldest daughter's mom, had told the court that I was an alcoholic. I was mad. I was like, what are you doing? Why would you do that? No, I'm not going to be able to see Mia. Well, I'm glad she did that because like a week later, I got a phone call from the coordinator of the court. that told me about some classes. It was like, well, you know, I've been to AA already. I have done all this and kept relapsing. Yeah, let's see if this works. You know, 4 treatment centers here in Washington alone. You know, in Georgia, 3 treatment centers, you know. So I've done all this already. This wasn't working. I mean, I went to treatment. The day I got out of treatment twice here, went right to the store and got a beer. You know, so obviously I wasn't there for the reason I needed to be. What I ended up doing after I got the call, I went and tried the class. And if something happened in that class, I don't know what it was, but it made me realize that I'm better than that, you know, and someone was trying to help me. Something clicked where someone was trying to help me. And so I took the opportunity and I was like, well, it's responsibility, I gotta have accountability, all this stuff that I never had before at 34 years old. And I told myself, I said, you know, this is where you start becoming a man. So when I tell people my story, I'll tell people I didn't become a man until I stopped drinking. I didn't become a father until I stopped drinking.
Oh, yeah.
That's honestly how I feel about it. I mean, I lived life.
You're kind of right. You're absolutely right, actually. Because, you know, unfortunately, you know, my biological father was also a bad alcoholic. He abandoned me when I was 5 years old for booze.
Right.
Like, left me at a stranger's house, literally, my sister and I. You're not who you are there.
No.
You're not.
No.
It controls you. It controls you. It's a detriment to you in more ways than one.
Yeah.
And so I like how you put it that way. It's like, I didn't become a man until I quit drinking. That's a good one. You know?
Yeah.
And not everybody, you know, drinking, the habit is different for other people, right? Some people can have some drinks and stop, you know. I do drink, you know. I like having a drink for dinner, and I'd like to drink, you know, a couple beers here and there. And I'm grateful that I can control it, but I can see how to get out of control. Because it wasn't always that way. I used to be a pretty rough alcoholic years ago, and I quit. I quit for 10 years. Mm-hmm. I quit drinking for 10 years.
Wow.
I had to, because I was not the person I needed to be to do it in moderation.
Right.
I abused it. And then I was addicted to pills. I was addicted to benzodiazepine, basically anti-anxiety medications, lorazepam, Ativan, and basically it controlled, that really controlled me. I would like to say to anybody watching this that if they were struggling with addiction, alcohol, drugs, or whatever, and they don't think they are, take a look around you. Mm-hmm. Where are you at? How's your family doing? What are people saying about you? And then if you wanted help, call anybody that you know loves you. Anybody. It doesn't matter who. Just anyone, and say, I want help. Mm-hmm. And if they don't fucking help you, then they don't deserve you.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree.
If one of my buddies called me right now and said, Shannon, I'm drinking way too much. I'm making a lot of mistakes. I need help. I'd be over there in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Or on a plane.
Oh, yeah.
I lost my best friend to suicide, and he was a bad alcoholic and on drugs, you know, pills too.
Yeah.
And it's terrible because I feel like in the moment, he felt like that was the thing to do, and he had a fucked up hand of cards dealt to him.
Right.
However, I feel like if he had waited 6 months, because I was in a different position then, I could have intervened.
Right.
You know, survivor's guilt is always a thing. I talk to this about my therapist, you know, pretty often. He's like, survivor's guilt will never go away.
No.
It'll never go away, and you just have to accept that you cannot dictate. You know, you cannot dictate what people are going to do.
No, you can't.
You know.
So you guys got yourselves out of these situations, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
You in particular, how did you feel after? When did you know you were better?
For me,
Yeah.
when I started having the time with my kids, the different attitude, my attitude with my daughter wanting to be around me, my daughter wanting to hang out with me, just my attitude with not having to have alcohol. That's when I realized, I said, okay, you're doing something right. Let's continue doing this. Because if you don't, then you're going to go back down that path. Now the thought of drinking scares the shit out of me.
I've never struggled with any sort of like substance addiction. What does it feel like when you're
In that moment,
Yeah.
when you're in the moment of being in addiction, you don't know. There is no feeling.
You don't know, yeah.
There's no feeling.
Something's taken over you.
You're just doing it, you know, and it's normal.
It's like you've lost control, and anything and everything you do is to feed that addiction, and you don't realize it. You just go, oh, this is my brain. This is what we do. This is how we live. Mm-hmm. You know.
So you're in a passenger seat for your own body?
That's right.
Basically, yeah.
That's right. It controls you. Controls everything around you. It tears everything around you apart. It kills people outside. You know, like inadvertent. Not just like people, you know, drink, drive, and get in a car accident. You know, like you know, inadvertently Like if you go on the streets of Seattle and just look at the homeless everywhere, they all have addiction. All of them, they have addiction. They choose to be there because they have addiction, and the addiction comes first.
Yep.
And that's somebody's child. That's a mom and dad sitting at home grieving that their child is not dead, but down there just suffering, not coming to dinners and Thanksgiving. And imagine your child, even though they're in the 30, 40 years old, they're just gone. Think about that. You're killing your parents and your loved ones by being, you're probably almost better off dead.
Yeah. Living on the streets, for me, it was a lot for me. Living on the streets in Olympia, Washington. Did that for a year and a half straight. Cold winter, sleeping in the alley, right by Jack in the Box where I worked at. Did that for a year and a half straight. And all I did was, when I got off work, I made sure I had money. I always made sure I had money for my alcohol, but I would make sure I go see my daughter. Then I would go back to where I was supposed to be at. I had a hard life. I didn't care. You know, didn't care about nobody but Byron. I had to feed the alcohol.
How old is your daughter now?
She's 21.
21.
Oh yeah. Very, very close. We are very, very close.
Awesome, man.
You know, and that means more to the world than anything. I have a 15-year-old also, you know, and just watching them grow, it makes a difference. Being able to see that and not be drunk and not be blindsided because I did this, them doing that, or this is more important. Everything in my life's positive, and just being away from that, especially when I got to mixed martial arts. When I got into mixed martial arts, it's funny. What I used to
get into it.
I got into it at 34. I was 6 months clean and sober. Brad Blackburn, who was a good friend of mine, that I went to school with, called me one day and said, I like to fight. At least I thought I liked to fight. So he called me and said, you should come train with me one day, man. You know, why not? Okay, let's do that. So I went in to Dennis Hallman's gym, thought I can beat everybody up in that gym. And I was one on the wall hurting. You
Got
know,
your ass
got whooped up bad. And all I remember is going outside and saying to myself, what in the hell did you get yourself into?
That's what he said.
You know?
That's literally what he said. What have I got myself into?
Yeah. And then I say, you know what? You start this. You don't quit for nobody. You know, and that, like I tell my students that I teach, we don't lay and pray for nobody. So if we're on the bottom, we're getting up. We're going to get up regardless. We're going to find a way up, but we're not going to stay there. So that's how I live my life. I lay and pray for no one. I let nobody tell me how to
Oh
live
my
it.
goodness, you guys hear that? Lay and pray for nobody. That's how I live my life. I'm gonna get up. I'm not gonna lay there. And just that was good. Though.
So, you know, I mean, that's where I'm at. I had a 7-year-old kid named Nico choke me out. That's how I got introduced to jiu-jitsu.
A 7-year-old kid choked him out.
Yeah.
In a spar.
Yeah, we were just grappling. I was really cool with his mom, and we started grappling, and all I knew was a little bit of stand-up, but I hadn't been in no more than 3 months. And we got to grappling, and all of a sudden, Nico trained with Marcelo Alonso. Really good kid in college, really awesome wrestler, really good kid. I know I went to spin, and he went to spin, and all of a sudden, he had me, and he wrapped his legs around my waist, and he choked me out, and like, Nico, and excuse my language, I was like, Nico, what the fuck was that? he said, oh, Coach Boom, that's us. That's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I still got to tell me where you learned that from. And ever since then, I've been doing it, and I've enjoyed my life, my fighting life, everything. You know, I went through a marriage. You know, when I got into fighting, you know, I had a wife. No, not talking bad about it, but she just didn't understand what I was going through. And maybe I didn't understand what I was going through. You know, it's not on her, it's on me too. So, you know, being the person I am, when I'm not addicted to something, but want to do it, I'm going to go full for it. And that's what I did.
So what virtues from the martial art did you internalize the most?
Discipline. Nothing. There's really nothing on top of that.
He's correct.
What's it mean to you be disciplined?
Knowing your place, knowing how to treat people, being very respectful, knowing that I know a martial arts where I can hurt this guy and he's running his mouth, but I don't have to engage with him. I can just walk away and get the hell on.
That's discipline. Knowing that I have a very clear understanding for me. Discipline is the ability to do something even if you don't want to do it. You do it anyways because it's important to do, and the ability to walk away from something that you want to do, but you know it's bad for you. So when he says, "Oh, I know this guy's running his mouth. I know I can beat him up. I don't have anything to prove. I want to beat him up, but I don't need to. We'll walk away from that." That's discipline. And a lot of people get angry and they make mistakes based on anger because they don't have discipline. It's one thing to have anger. It's another thing to have anger with discipline. For instance, a violent man, right? A violent man is only dangerous if he actually performs violence on somebody, okay? A dangerous man can be dangerous, but they have it under control because they have discipline, right? So even your most violent people, they don't even know how to fight. They're just violent, and they are dangerous because they don't have any control. They no discipline, and they can hurt people usually who are weaker than them. We call them cowards, right? We call them cowards, and the world is full of them. And they're not just doing it physically; they're doing it mentally to people. There's a lot of cowards out there that are hurting people, indoctrination, brainwashing, whatever, right? Instilling bad habits in people that they don't even realize it's happening. And the person receiving the information, maybe they don't have any discipline either, but they could. Problem is, somebody else got to them first, just like the alcohol and the drugs got to us first. And we were lucky to figure out how to get out of it but not everyone does. And the most important thing for me in martial arts, jiu-jitsu specifically, is the brotherhood
Yes.
and sisterhood, right? The connections you make, family. Like, yeah, you're learning an amazing martial art. You're learning how to defend yourself. It's a good feeling. You're also getting exercise. You're in good shape. And you're interacting with a diverse group of people, which I also believe is very important, right? Because that's how we actually educate each other.
What's your mission now? So you saved yourself, right?
Right.
'Cause someone helped you. They just gave you a little push. So like, what's your new purpose now?
Help other people.
How do you want to help people?
Teaching the
them.
kids.
Teaching kids.
Yeah.
Teaching other adults.
The kids, the youth of the future, right? Without the kids, if all the kids just stop doing anything right now, in 20 years, we're all fucked. So this guy right here, what he does is he takes kids and he makes them the best they can be. Not just at jiu-jitsu, but just as a person.
Yes. And that's just my thing. I love doing that. It's
How
just
do
so
you
fun.
How do you show these kids discipline?
By the way you talk to them, the way you treat them. Treat them like you would want to be treated, number one. And you teach them how you would want to be taught. Because there's a way to teach people, and there's a way not to teach people. Now, when I teach the kids, I teach them the same way my professor would teach me. Nice and slow, nice and right, and with respect with the words. A lot of people don't understand that term.
And see, when we have a student that's doing, let's say they're doing a technique, they're doing it incorrectly, right? And they obviously don't mean to. Instead of going over and saying, no, you're doing it wrong, right? We say, hey, you know what? Let's try it this way. Unless it's one of our students that's just kind of hard-headed, we kind of know them already. Like, hey, what are you doing? Why are you playing around? Come on, you're being silly, you know? It's different. We meet people where they're at, right? And the thing with kids is they're fucking very smart.
Oh,
they're little learners. They're little sponges, man. They're engineered for that. It's a very the age 0 to 18 is, I'll even take it to mid-20s, is some of the most important years of your life because you're really building yourself. You're being built by the information that you receive. And if you receive a bunch of bad information, well, then you're going to expel bad information. But if you receive good, constructive information, you're more likely to do that. And that's why I think that these are so destructive because people get on Instagram and Facebook and they just start doom scrolling and they see all this hate, they see all this acrimony, and then become that. And they think that's their tribe because they've seen it and they grew up with it. So they think, oh, this is my tribe, this is my village. But if you could put this the fuck down and walk into a jiu-jitsu school, you're gonna be way more constructive because it's real. It's real. You cannot fake jiu-jitsu. It's 100% real. You cannot identify as a black belt. If you walk in my school and say, oh, I'm a black belt, and you're not a black belt, I will prove you wrong very fast.
Can you give me a case scenario where you are, I don't want to say pride in the bad connotation, but I want to say, what are you prideful? Is there anyone that you feel really good about helping?
Yes.
Anyone you steered on the correct path before
Before they went astray?
or if they went astray, just like you guys?
Yeah. I have a really good friend of mine. His name is Michael. And he actually trains, he's still with Gracie Baja. We met him in Tacoma, and he was just a guy that just liked to drink and party a lot. And one day he just, says, he told me he needed help, so I decided to help him, and put my all into him. And now this guy's been clean and sober, He just does his thing and clean and sober, 2-3 years now. Yeah, and he does jiu-jitsu still, and he works. He makes a good living, and to watch people grow like that. I don't ever say, like when I tell the students, I have some students at my school that, and I'm saying all my students, not just those 3, but they excel quick with martial arts. Because I can be showing a technique, and one of my students, Charlie, should be looking like this, and I can see her head going like this. and smiling. And I'm like, oh Lord, Charlie's gonna choke somebody with this.
She's good.
She's just good.
Savage, dude.
But but her
14 years old.
Yeah.
14 years old, and she like embarrasses the boys. It's
Yeah.
true, man. She's so good.
Yeah.
Very strong, very athletic, very focused, like very disciplined. And her dad is an awesome dude.
Yeah.
He is a great guy. He's actually a school teacher, history teacher, and he trains too. Scott, nice guy.
Yeah, and all three of them have been under. All the three, two sisters and the brothers have both been under me since I've been teaching, and they've gotten good. They went to competitions and won.
Yeah.
You know, and I always tell them, they say, oh, thank you so much, Coach Boom, you know, because you say, no, stop. It's because of you. I showed you something. You made it your own.
I'm just your assistant. I'm just helping you, right? I'm giving you techniques, right? I'm just kind of showing you the way, but you're driving the ship. You're steering it.
And
This is
that's
you.
what they do.
Yeah.
I have 38 students in my class, and every single one of them do very well. I've watched some of them go from not knowing literally nothing to just, and I'm just, you know, one thing I think that a lot of people is the misfortunes that parents don't compliment their kids enough.
But a lot of parents don't even know how. They
Yeah.
really don't even know how. A lot of parents, unfortunately, that's another thing that's very good about jiu-jitsu is that parents can watch and then they learn more about their kid than they even knew. Then the relationship between the parent and the kid becomes even better.
Oh yeah, and I've
So
seen it.
It's very powerful and more, you know, and multi-directional, right? Like, who thought that just by being a parent, bringing a kid to jiu-jitsu, that it would bring you guys closer together
Yeah.
and you understand each other better, especially the parents learning about the kid.
Yeah.
And I also have parents that come in and they straight up tell me, hey, my kid is the most ADD kid. Good luck, right? And they're right, it's rough. And then the parent, like, if they see the kid getting out of line and kind of getting, you know, what's the word I'm looking for here? A little ornery.
Yeah.
Then the parent will kind of like wave me over and say, go check him. I'm like, all right, no problem, you know? And we put them in timeout sometimes, don't we?
Yeah,
Boom?
yeah.
We put them in timeout.
Oh, yeah.
And the kids, they don't like it, but they come back.
They come back, yeah.
And some of them, like the parents are like, good, you deserve to go to timeout, right? Not because we want to hurt them or punish them, but we just need them to think a little bit. I will never change it. I got bullied and picked on. Small, blonde-headed kid named Shannon, and there's a pigeon in here. That's actually a pigeon just walking around the cafeteria.
Smokes.
Like, he just hit the jackpot, bro. He just hit the jackpot. We just had to
Right?
we had to interrupt that real quick. So I just lost my train of thought. That bird just fucking pigeon.
Yeah. Something.
He's
for
like,
me-
it's hot as fuck outside. Go
Something
ahead,
for
bro.
me is I love the fact that, you know, in AA we have this saying, give back with what you were given. When I was drinking, you know what I used to do? You know, you have DVDs that you buy, you watch movies. I take my DVDs, take them to the pawn shop, pawn them, get about, you know, maybe $20. Give me some beer, because I drank the 211s. They were cheap. So I bought them enough beer. But the problem with that is I didn't know how to stop at 2 beers. We're talking about 24-ounce cans. Once I got to the 3rd beer, I kept on drinking. And then when I didn't finish that beer, I put it on my desk. And then when I got up in the morning, I drank it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then what I would do on payday, I would go.
Wait, yo, bro, you wouldn't even put it in the fridge?
No.
Just put it on the desk.
Yeah.
Luke,
Yeah.
piss warm.
Yo, yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, so I had it when I woke up in the morning. So then when I got paid, I would go get my DVDs out, okay, because I had money, so I didn't have to worry about it. But when I ran back out of money, I would go pawn DVDs again, VCRs, DVDs, you know, take change, you know, whatever I had. It got to the point that my ex-wife didn't want to see me come home with the attitude, so there was always beer in the refrigerator. That was bad. Yeah, and I never realized that. You don't think about that because you don't think about yourself.
Well, that too, and that's a perfect example of, like, sometimes your spouse, you know, they don't know how to help you.
No.
So they just enable to prevent you, like you said, she's like, I don't want him to have an attitude, so I'm just gonna have a beer, I'm gonna have beer ready
Yeah.
for him, right?
Yeah.
You know, and part of it is like she's got your back, but it's also like, that's just her kind of giving up.
Yeah.
Doing the best she can to just get you help. My wife fought tooth and nail to get me help, tooth and nail. And I'm grateful because, you know, we were together a long time before we even got married. You know, we got married in 2010. We've been together since 2004, 3 or 4. We've been together 19 years, going on 20. So anyways, like she fought tooth and nail to get me help. She took me to therapy, like dragged me out of the house. took me to therapy when I was addicted to the pills and
Yeah.
coming off. I was agoraphobic. I was afraid to leave the house. I was afraid to leave the fucking house, dude. I was about 145 pounds, fucking mess. Barely eating. Like, I was a mess. It's bad.
Yeah.
Had full-blown anxiety disorder. I'd get panic attacks. So bad that I would call the ambulance because I thought I was gonna die. The panic attack feels like you get like dizzy and then you get like fucking like, just this weird sensation.
Your body's just filled with cortisol.
Fucking
24/7.
crazy.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, there's obviously, there's obviously a pandemic of alcohol and drug abuse in the United States, especially, the West Coast. Shit everywhere. And it sucks because I feel like there should be more prevention. There should be more education around
Yeah.
it. And I feel like there's not because they almost want people to do that.
Yeah.
I feel like they want the problem because then there's money. There's money.
You know what the worst type of business is?
What?
Making the problem, making the solution.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's crazy is too, I went to school for drug and alcohol counseling. I used to think that because I was a drunk, I was better than someone that did drugs. And then I found out different, that I was no damn different than anybody else. It's just a different type of drug, only mine was liquid, So I learned that.
Like, let's just say someone's just like you, watching this real payphone, a prepaid phone, right? They're stuck, right? What's the first thing they should
Go
do?
find a jiu-jitsu academy and try it out. Try 3 of them and then pick the one that you feel most comfortable at. Pick the one that you kind of feel like you fit in, right? Do it. Don't even fucking think about it. I promise you it'll change your life.
What about you?
I'll say the same thing. And then get help if you feel like you need it. Go to someone. If you need help, ask somebody. There's always someone who wants to help you. You just don't see it sometimes. And we don't see it. And that's sometimes the hardest part.
Sometimes the people in their life are the ones that they think are the only ones that can help them, but they don't want to help them. They don't care. They're just conveniences to each other.
Yeah.
They don't really care. Sometimes you got to go outside of your circle to get help.
Yeah.
Because there are people that love you.
Yeah.
And if somebody comes to the door of my school, I'm gonna take care of them. When people are looking for help, they have a being in them that is good.
Yeah.
They still have this person inside of them that's there and ready to go, and they're only using a fraction of their potential. Tony Robbins talks about awaken the giant within. There's a book, it's great. And he's right, I didn't realize my potential. When I was going through therapy, coming off of the pills, I remember watching a jiu-jitsu video and I was like, I'll never be able to do that. And then my therapist says, oh, no, Shannon, well now you gotta do it. You want me to walk you to the doors myself? I was like, no, I'll do it. I sold myself short of my potential by making an assumption because of my past, and I took it, I stabbed it in the fucking face, buried it in the ground, and I went to a jiu-jitsu school, and now here I am. Yeah. All my businesses do well, including my jiu-jitsu school, obviously. I have a lot of people around me that love me, and I love them. And I've made connections with people that I never thought I would ever connect with, Being a part of Andy Elliott's brotherhood, like inner circle, is huge. That is huge. I feel like I've won the lottery. There's nothing more viable and valuable than information, learning, and then doing something constructive with it. And it's a great feeling. And I'm not gonna stop. I'm not gonna stop. My wife and I built a team at our school, and this school can run, and it runs well. Sometimes I feel like it runs better without me there. It's such a good feeling knowing that, like you said earlier, being able to educate somebody and help them and turn them into leaders. Not just jiu-jitsu, but just business and, leadership and mindset. I have a couple people that I do mindset conversations with. I basically mentor them and I coach them on mindset and I help them. And I'm not gonna say any names right now, but one of them is a very, very, very successful professional mixed martial artist who just got signed with the 1FC. And we've been growing together a long time. Maybe not together because he lives in one state, I live in another. He used to live in Washington. He used to work for me as an employee. And we do coaching calls. Yeah, we have conversations, and I help him with basically mindset part of being a professional fighter. Not that I'm a professional fighter, but I train fighters. I train jiu-jitsu grapplers, and I train people how to basically run business, and it's really the same.
What's in the future for you?
For me, eventually on my own school under Professor Shannon.
Yeah, he will.
On my own school.
He will.
And be as successful as I am with my school as I am with the people I teach now. You know, and that's a learning process.
He's already doing it. So he's already doing it. Now he just needs, you know, maybe a few more years of getting it from
Mentoring.
here to here. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
And then he'll have his own school.
Yeah, listening. I think a lot. I will always be thankful and grateful that when me and my best friend decided we were going to travel and do jiu-jitsu, that we did it, because we went from Gracie Bar further away to Gracie Bar Renton to Gracie Bar Seattle, Bellevue. We just traveled, and then we ended up in Renton. And I knew Professor Shannon from outskirts of the competitions. And what turned me towards Professor Shannon more was that I was at a competition and I had nobody to corner me. And I was purple belt like I am now, and I won my match. But he didn't have to do that. He was going to leave.
I cornered you.
And he cornered me out of the greatness of his heart. And that's how, and I remember telling Adam, I was like, you know, bro, we should go to Renton. Let's go try it out. And then when I got there, I really like this atmosphere. It's really different from what I'm used to. And I never left.
And that's just it. Like he said exactly what I said earlier. Is like, if you should go find a school, try out 3, and then pick the one that you fit in. And he found the one that he fits in, you know, and the one that was going to give him back what he's putting into it as well. Because in order to give, you have to receive. Mm-hmm. Right? He can come be just a student, and he's a good student. However, why stop there if he has leadership qualities? Mm-hmm. You know, he's educated, and he's good at teaching jiu-jitsu. It's like, so we gave him that opportunity.
Yeah, and I have to be honest, man. Coach Siri and Professor Shannon when they told me, just pay attention and listen and do as we say, and you'll be successful. So I did that, and it's hard to shut me up. So I did that, and I look at where I'm at now. Who would have ever thought that a 20-some-year alcoholic, drinking, you know, cigarette smoking, living on the streets, poor with nothing, being abused, you know, molested, hurt, all that, will be where I'm at now? Who would ever thought that? Because I never did. And even till this day, I'm still learning how to build more confidence and more confidence and more confidence in myself, but not laying and praying for nobody. I can't preach that to my kids and be the one doing that. I have to be doing what I preach to them. So when I get off work every day, knowing that I'm going to help teach, even though I'm not teaching my class, I am looking forward to it. It's just this great feeling.